everybody, and welcome back to another episode of The Music Box. And today I have got indie folk extraordinaire James Jackson.
Hello.
Welcome to the show.
Glad to be here. It's really cool place that I didn't know existed. It's very cool.
Yeah, it's our new studio, so everybody should check it out. It's amazing, isn't it?
Really cool. Love being here today. Like seeing all the very out the way but amazing facilities that just in the random place in Liverpool.
Thanks for saying it's amazing facilities. You see that, guys? We're just plugging ourselves left, right, and centre. So we have just watched you perform 3 songs in the studio. How did you find it?
I found it really nice. It was really nice to be playing sort of live again as such. Like it's been a long like 5 months being playing indoors or inside my house, but like starting to be doing all these like video sessions and like gigs, outdoor gigs and stuff is it's sort of like a return to normality for me as such. So it was really nice to be doing it.
It's like hallelujah, things are returning back to normal. Woo! Okay, so I just wanted to find out a little bit more about your background. So how you got into singing, what made you pursue this?
So it's a bit of a I've sort of it was weird that I sort of stumbled into it as such. When I was 8 years old, my cousin came over from Australia and left me. He brought over this really tiny like Washburn Rover guitar. It was about even smaller than 3/4, and he just left it. And he said, "Do you want to pick it up and start playing?" I was like, "Yeah, sure, why not?" I literally just picked it up, and then from that day, I've not stopped playing for some reason. I even started singing when I was 8. I did. Never sung in my life, never talked to anyone in my life, and then suddenly auditioned for Oliver, like in the mini school play. I was like, I just started doing music for some reason, but like, it's sort of like stumbled into my life and became something that I did. Like, it sort of identified me, and
it was part of your calling,
part of my calling or whatever that is. But it just sort of like provided me with something to do, and then ever since then, I've just carried on playing, and I started writing songs when I was in year 7, and then I've literally been doing the same playing and working along the scene in the pubs and stuff from a very young age, even not drinking, just in the pubs playing.
I love doing you're not you clarifying. I was not drinking, guys. I was not drinking.
Yeah, so I've just sort of like cut my teeth on the live scene as such from a very young age, just playing, busking and stuff. Like just, I found that I think my purpose in life is to play and to perform. Yeah. So that seemed to what I've been sent to do, and that's what I'm probably doing. Yeah. And it's what I've done from a young age, and what I'm going to continue to keep doing by the looks of things. Amazing.
It's funny that you say that, because when you picked up the guitar, I even wrote down, because it was literally like the guitar is a part of your body. Yeah. If that makes any sense. It was like a third arm, because you were just playing, and it was literally just... It was just like it was a part of you. So obviously it's a perfect match.
Yeah, I feel like it is a part of me, if in the sense that the guitar was the first instrument that I picked up. So it's always been sort of like the place where I felt most comfortable. Like before, I've always been sort of like a shy and nervous, sort of like withdrawn person as such. But music throughout the years has helped me grow up my shell a bit. I don't remember being 8 years old, but I distinctly remember the feeling of moving from situations of being without my instrument and then being with an instrument is sort of like the opposite end of the spectrum. It's sort of like the most happy you could ever be is just playing the guitar and sat down. But it's really identified who I am and what I do with my life as such is
I love
play
that.
music.
I love that, because actually you can tell that you're quite a shy person, but I think like your voice really comes across through your music, and the only way I can describe your voice is literally like melted butter all over my body, because I was just like, oh my god, this voice is amazing. It's so raspy but then soft at the same time.
Oh, thank you very much. That's something. The voice is something I've always tried to work on as such, especially in this last year. I go to college up the sixth form at Lipper, and they've really helped me, as well as my own personal development over lockdown. As I've always thought, all right, if I've got all this time, I'm going to improve my voice as such. I'm going to start doing all the really weird, silly voice warm-ups and stuff. Yeah. But it's really brought out a different emotion in the voice, because I remember I've been singing for that long, sort of without any vocal teaching as such. It's probably done it a little bit of harm, but also strengthened it as such. Yeah. So it's gave me it's something that really works now hand in hand with the music that I'm writing. It's never used to, but within the last year, it's sort of identified me more of what I do as such as my singing. But yeah,
I love that. I did want to touch on that. So I know that you do write your own songs. So we're going to go into a little bit about your songs later on. because I need to find the girl that broke your heart. Whoever broke your heart, I'm coming for her. But she, you know, whatever's happened, just give good music. So, but you know, what inspired you to start writing?
I don't really. Again, it was sort of like
young.
Yeah, it was sort of a similar experience to writing, to picking up the guitar. I remember I was on the live scene quite a bit, especially in my local area, and I'd always have people coming up saying, "Oh, do you write your own songs and stuff?" And I was like, "Oh no, I don't. I can't do that." And then it was a long time of sort of like
journey of self-discovery
and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, it was sort of like trying like I'll try this and I'll try that, and so after a good few years of writing songs in my bedroom and not showing anyone, something clicked one day when I listened to, it was an album called by a Argentinian guy called Jose Gonzalez. He released this album called Rainiers, and there's a song on it called Heartbeats, and it was just the way in which he played the guitar was something I'd never heard before now, and it's led me on to loads of other great inspirations, but he did it in a way which sort of turned the guitar and how you think of it upside down as such. He retuned all the strings in a way that was completely different to how anyone else had done it before, and then I thought, oh, that's pretty cool. I'll just copy it, and then suddenly in my mind, everything like opened up. I was like, oh, this is how you write songs. This is how you do stuff.
I love that.
So yeah, from there I was like, oh, I can do this and I can do this. It was sort of like it was a process of not thinking.
It gave you like a freedom. It opened your mind and gave you that freedom to explore. Yeah. What I did notice is in between your songs when you were playing with the guitar, not necessarily whilst you were performing, but you know, you would start tapping the guitar and doing like a lot of different things. So obviously that's where that influence comes from.
Yeah, especially it was a lot of it's a lot of thinking what the guitar is and not thinking what it is and changing it up as such. Like it's just doing things that you wouldn't expect and making a difference almost with it.
Yeah, and just going with your own flow and deciding, you know, what resonates with you, and for you to just completely explore them and you know embrace your creativity. Yeah, that really comes across.
I think that's sort of like I've always when it comes to music, because music is such a big part of my life. I've observed it for loads of many years, and I'm noticing in the mainstream and what my friends were listening to weren't necessarily into music. You can sort of tell like, oh, this was all sort of the same. I wasn't too keen on it because it just didn't appeal to me. And I've always listened to the Beatles. Like that was my first influence, and it's sort of like the Beatles are here and everything else is there.
Yeah, like, and they absolutely changed the way music was presented.
So I think that was that massive influence of the Beatles is sort of how I've interpreted everything in my life, and especially with music. Like you can change things and make things different, even if it is similar to other people. I think subconsciously I'm always trying to make things that are slightly different, or changing the norm, or doing things that in my way that I want to represent as
a complete uniqueness, and that really does come across in the way that you perform and with your music as well.
Thank you very
much. You're welcome. So you mentioned about the Beatles, and obviously you have a Liverpool accent, but you're from?
I'm from Skelmersdale, from Skem.
From Skem.
Yeah, it's my grandparents are all from Liverpool. My granddad actually is. It's a funny story. He was a bronze medal in the Olympics.
Wow.
In 1960. Yeah.
So you got champion bloods up in there.
Yeah, Jimmy Lloyd. He lived in Liverpool. So did my nan's, all my family. But then Skem is a brief history of Skelmersdale. But it was
welcome to Skem.
It was like an overflow town for Liverpool in the 1960s. So they built this new place, and then lots of people from Liverpool moved over. So that's where there's a large community of people from Liverpool, even though it's in West Lancashire. So it's like a mini Liverpool.
Yeah.
But Liverpool is sort of where I've always felt home, especially with music as well, because everything I've listened to sort of came from here almost.
Yeah.
All the gigs I go to and stuff.
Definitely, because I got that vibe when we're going to talk about your songs in just a moment. A lot of Liverpool inspiration that are in there, so we will touch on that in a second. So at the moment, I just want to talk about what's been your greatest achievement so far, because I know that you've been up to a lot. You've been busy.
I'd say it's hard to choose because like a lot of things in
just tell us them all then, and
they're all so amazing. I'm so great.
If you got so many, honey, then you can just share them all.
There's a lot of opportunities that have been given to me, which is for a kid from Skelmersdale who was like 15 or something, and what age I'm now, which is I'm completely grateful for because it's amazing. But one of them would be when I was 14, 15. I submitted some songs to some demos to BBC Introducing, and they got picked up by the my local radio station is Radio Lancashire, so they got picked up by the DJ there.
Amazing.
Yeah, called Sean
Wow,
McGinty.
that is such an achievement, especially at such a young age.
Yeah, so they were. I've always had a great connection with Sean, and he's always supported me through a lot of stuff. Even last week, I was on the radio with him, talking about my latest single, Hunter, which is on Spotify, by the way.
Nice, plug it in.
But yeah, I managed to get my songs played on the radio, and from that I've done a few media sessions for at Media City in Manchester. That was a crazy experience. It was like it was my last year of high school, and I got to leave school early, and they were saying, "Oh, why are you leaving school early?" It's like, "Oh, actually, I'm going to Media City to do a live session."
I'm an artist, honey. I'm an artist.
And yeah, I've done even got to play a festival with BBC Introducing in Lancaster, the first Highest Point Festival, which was an amazing experience. There was I was on the BBC Introducing stage, but at the festival was Ocean Colour Scene, like cast. It was just bonkers. It was like a lot of the music I grew up listening to, because my mum and dad were massive fans of Ocean Colour Scene. It was just surreal being on like the same bill as them.
Yeah,
you're
like, going on the bill, and I bet your mum and dad were like, "Yeah, that's our son." Walking around like with a flyer, like, "You see that one? That's my son."
I think they were just as like clueless about the whole situation as I was, like saying, "How did we get here? Like, this is bonkers." Like,
but that obviously means that there's something in your destiny that is here for you to explore, and it really, you can really tell that your music and your songwriting and everything comes together to give you a voice.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think that's sort of how I think that's my voice in this world, is sort of comes not necessarily from my speech, but from the music I write.
Yeah.
I don't believe I'm anywhere near the finished project of what I want to be, but I'm grateful for all the opportunities I've had so far to showcase that and show what I can do already and how I'm progressing. I feel like there's something in my head that's saying there's a bigger thing for me to work on eventually in the future, but for now it's taking the small steps to continue to write the songs and
embracing the whole journey.
Exactly,
all what's part of it,
because it's a massive journey that everyone's got to go on, and like I've just got to take the small steps as such and see where it leads me.
Like one day you're going to be looking back to this and being like, "God, remember I did that little music box show." So what would be your absolute ultimate goal? So what headline, what stage, who would you like to record with? Like what are you attracting to your orbit?
It's very crazy. Like this sort of, I always have like many fleeting passions and like I think, I want to do this, I want to do that, but I think somewhere in my head I want to create something big, like a big piece of art as such. It might be like a musical or something, or like a concept album, but like I think my biggest joy comes from performing, so I always want to be performing. So I'll be happy whatever capacity that is, as long as I'm carrying on performing. But I think the biggest thing that I'm here on earth to do is to create like a legacy of art as such, or something big, something that I can be proud of and looking back saying, "Oh, that was a good thing I made." Yeah.
Oh, I've got all the feels.
Fingers crossed. I might be there. Yeah, it won't make anything, but let's see what happens.
No, listen, don't write yourself off. People are around you believe you. BBC are believing in you, and you've just got to believe in yourself to get yourself there. So don't put yourself down.
Self-confidence.
Oh yeah, all about that confidence. Okay, so let's have a little look at your songs.
Oh, yeah.
So, song 1 was For What?
Yeah.
And it was so emotional. I'm sorry, but I was like, this is so emotional. Holding down the side.
Yeah.
Who broke your heart? Tell me. Give me an address.
Oh God. With that one, it was with a conversation with a friend. It was a very weird, surreal experience. We were in New York on a school trip, and he was going through a hard time. He'd just broken up with his girlfriend, and we were just talking to each other about like stuff, and then it's like and he was going through a really hard time. And then when I got home, I was sort of had this conversation I had with him sort of stuck in my head. It was about what he was going through, so I sort of like took the form of his character in the song and sort of expressed what maybe he would like to say.
Yeah. Oh, that's so nice.
Yeah, I think because I'm so young and the experiences are very limited, so there's not lots to draw on as such. But I've always...
But you're outsourcing your emotional breakdowns, which is amazing. If I could outsource all of my emotional breakdowns, I would be so happy. I don't want to live through it.
I like sort of like taking the side of certain other people as characters and thinking, oh, what would they like to be going through? And so yeah, that was just sort of what I thought he might be going through at that sort of time. And obviously them emotions later through life I'll probably experience, but that was sort of like how I thought maybe he would be feeling at that point.
Yeah.
Which is,
Well, you've conveyed that message so amazingly, and that's why I thought somebody broke your heart, and I was about to say someone better hold me back. But no, that's so nice. I love the story behind that. And then song 2 is actually unreleased. You only made it 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, I only wrote it 2 weeks ago. I had a great spare of like inspiration. I just finished reading the book called what's it called? The War on Art. Forget the author's name. I'll have to come back to it. But it was a book about resistance and how to continue to write. And I was going through a bit of a slump in my writing. I was like, oh, I haven't wrote anything for ages. I'm so rubbish. And then I read this book. It was basically talking about how to beat resistance in writing. And I was like, oh, wait, hang on. I just need to write the songs and stop complaining about it. So I had a week where I wrote about like 9 songs or something. And then I was like, oh, that's a pretty good one. So I was like, yeah, it was a...
we need to just mention that song is called Street View Lullaby.
Yeah.
It's an amazing song, and I love the fact that you mentioned it was created whilst you were on Bold Street before you went to a gig. So there was pasta involved, there was gigs involved, there's coffee involved. Like, what type of combination is that to create a perfect song?
What a weird experience. But yeah, it was I was after college and was just going to a gig, and it was I was going through a hard time at the start of this year, and then it was before lockdown as well, so it wasn't a great few months for me. But but yeah, it was just sort of like it was just sort of the feeling of I wanted to try write more of a story song about just to try and convey story as best as I can, because I hadn't really tried it before. And then with this song, it's sort of like what sort of story is in my head that I've gone through in the previous months, and it was like, oh, I can try and talk about this time I had. It was actually at the Zanzibar, which is sad news that it's shut down, or at least this inclination is shut down. Hopefully it can get some new owners. But I was actually going to a gig there, and it was just talking about walking down Bold Street and going to this gig. And I was like, oh, there's loads of little things I can just put in. But yeah, Bold Street's a really special place to me, because I go to college up at the sixth form, as I said, Philippa, and it's the walk you do every day going up from the train.
Yeah.
And you just see all these people, and you get to see the same faces, and it's a really like poetic place in a way. Like, there's always...
I love Bold Street.
It's like a culture hub as such.
Yeah.
Like, I was busking there the other week, but I'm definitely going back, because it's such a lovely place, like, to be in Liverpool. It sort of like sums it up for me.
I love the fact that you can be in the middle of Bold Street and then you just see the cathedral, the old bombed out church at the top. I think that's such a magical, like, every time I see that I get all the feels. I'm like, oh, I love Liverpool so much.
It's just such like a really, really nice place.
Yeah, and I think the landmarks of Liverpool kind of come through in your songs as well. You can kind of tell where you've been on a journey there. But let's talk about busking for a second.
Yeah.
So whereabouts do you usually busk?
It's been a bit off and on recently, but busking is sort of how I got my start playing a lot. When I was about 10, I would busk around Ormskirk and Southport. I even had a busking band with my mates from Skern, but we made a killing sometimes, and then sometimes we made nothing.
I'm dying to know, like, what's the most you ever made from busking?
I'd never like to show money, but the 3 of us made like £80 one weekend whilst we were in Southport.
That's amazing.
That was like, we were just like buzzing, because like, oh my god, we're rich, and then we realised we split it into 3, and then we're like, oh, we're not so rich, but we're okay.
But that's good. That's amazing, busking.
Really, yeah. But I sort of came back to it a bit recently, because I've realised there's going to be a long time before a venue's going to be open, especially for gigs and stuff. And I had quite a few bookings towards the back end of this year and start of this year, and they've all just gone. So I thought, why not go back to sort of where I started and sort of like see what's still there and see if I can still do it. Yeah. But yeah, it's something I do love. It's really tough. It's sort of where the strongest artists sort of come from busking, because especially singer-songwriters, because it's a tough thing to do where you're just playing and seeing people walk past you. But if you sort of like sharing your music with as many people as you can, it's sort of like the best exposure you could possibly get. Yeah,
I think that must be, especially as an artist, and like basically your songs are like your babies, and it's like you're standing in the street showing everyone your baby, and then people are like, your baby's ugly, because they're just walking past.
It's really hard to do sometimes, but you've sort of got to look past that and realise it's just passing traffic. You've just sort of got to keep doing it, because it's something that's really important, especially to the culture of Liverpool, because it's a city full of buskers, and it feels good that you're sort of playing a part with that legacy and sort of adding to it as well.
And also as well, it kind of prepares you, it gives you that thick skin that you need to be able to take on the music industry. So I think obviously busking, although it's hard, there's a lot of benefits that come with it. So let's move on to your third and final song that you sang for us, and it was my favourite. Save the best to last, and this is going to be your debut single.
It's already out.
It's already out.
Yeah.
Okay. So this was called.
I'll be moving on. I think that one was called.
It's called I'll Be Moving On. I've messed up my own notes. Excuse me.
I'll
be moving on. And again, this was another one that took me on an emotional roller coaster. Because when I was sitting there, and like you can really feel, although it may not be your pain, but whatever you're conveying to the audience is just so evident there. So I was just like.
That was a strange one for me, because that was one of the first couple songs I actually wrote a few years ago, and it's changed a bit since I first wrote it, obviously. But
can you just like tell us how old you were? Like people need to know how old he was when he wrote this song.
I was
honestly
14.
It's crazy.
Yeah, I was 14 when I first wrote that song.
Wow.
And, yeah, it's a bit bonkers. Like my brother's that age now. I'm thinking, oh my god, was I that age when I wrote that? That's a bit weird.
You must have had like such a wise head on your shoulders, because that song is. I love it.
It's a bit. It feels like a special song. Like it doesn't feel like I wrote it. Sometimes it feels like it just sort of dropped out the sky. I was like, oh, that's a pretty good song.
But there's a story behind it, isn't it? Because you were involved in some community group projects, and that gave you the opportunity. This song actually was what underpinned your desire to pursue music as a career. So it's quite a big deal for you, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a really special song for me. But I was taking part in Skelmersdale's this community enterprise project called the E-Rooms, and it was a couple of years ago, and they're a great venue now, great hub for music in Skem. But they had this grant to take on to support artists by recording music and giving them the opportunity to be in the studio for the first time. So I sort of just came down there. I was like, I've been there for years anyway, with like band projects and stuff, but I just went down there and decided to try and record some songs. I had 2 songs that came out of that, but that was I'll Be Moving On was the special one. It was sort of just me and a microphone just plugged into this interface and recording this track, and it just sort of just happened, and then it was recording and then done within the day. I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. So I came home that day and was like, I'll upload it to BBC Introducing, which is a great platform for sharing music for artists and stuff. But I thought, why not? Let's see what happens. And then it was picked up the day after, or a couple of weeks after, I think, and it was played on the radio. So I was like, oh my god, there's people listening to my music. It was a very strange experience. I was like, oh, this is so weird. And then ever since then, it's been the song that sort of like carried me forward. It's like, so I play it nearly every gig, and it's sort of like a reminder to me that this is just to keep going, like, cause it's something that I know this is like something I want to do, so just keep going and see what happens.
You kind of set the bar really high for yourself with that song, because
I know. It's so annoying.
It is amazing. And the way that you sing and the way it kind of merges with the guitar, because again, like I mentioned earlier, it's like the guitar is just a part of your body. And when you were specifically singing that song, it was just like they were just like intertwining together. It was amazing to watch.
It's weird. I think it's
a really good song.
I think even though usually with most of my songs, it's changed a bit since obviously the early days of adopting characters more. So now it's sort of what I'm going through. But with that song, it was definitely an experience of just writing and something happened. But I think having performed it for so long now, you sort of develop more emotion with it. You can see like, oh, this is how I feel now. And it's like, even though I wasn't in that place when I wrote it, I am now as such. Like, it's a good thing to reflect on. It's weird how songs are like weird magical things that just like crop up on you and like adopt these feelings like later on in life. You're like, how did they do that? How did they foreshadow things? But I just love it. Yeah, it's
amazing. But honestly, it's been an absolute pleasure to have a chat with you today, and it was an amazing pleasure for me to witness your singing talents.
Thank you.
So thank you very much for that. So just tell our audience where they can find you and let us know what you're up to next.
Yeah, so you can find me on jamesjacksonmusic.com and also jamesjackson_music for my Instagram, as well as James Jackson Music on YouTube. I think I've got that right. If not, it's all on the website. But yeah, I'm currently in the process. Like I said, the last couple of weeks I've been writing load of songs. So in the next few months, that's going to be coming out as a load of singles, and then hopefully by the end of this year, beginning next year, I want to release a form of EP or album. So it's all in the works as such. But
are you going to put it onto is any music on a platform at the moment?
Sorry, I forgot to say that as well. Yeah, everything's on Spotify. If you search James Jackson on Spotify, you'll find that. But yeah, if you just follow me on my socials, I'll definitely be keeping people updated to what's happening in the future.
I'll definitely be keeping updated, that's for sure. Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. This has been Megan Vincetta and James Jackson, and we've been The Music Box. So have a lovely time. Bye.